Welcome to Bigger Profits, where bigger is better. I'm your founder and host, Chris Rassam, and today we got the question, how to find bigger deals. So, if you are just starting out investing and you want to start finding bigger and better deals, let's say multifamily deals, self-storage deals, where do you start looking and searching? So there's a few different ways of doing this that I'm going to list out today to help you in this search. And the last way is going to be the best way, so stay tuned as I present this. So what we're trying to find are diamonds in the rough. And it's kind of funny because there were 3 different headlines of some diamond in the rough finds that I saw that I was laughing about. Here's a story headline: $15 flea market diamond turns out to be worth nearly $500,000. Woman casually discovers her $13 junk sale diamond is worth $500,000. Another good find. There's another woman who nearly discards her diamond worth $3 million after mistaking it for a toy. That's an expensive toy. So looking at these people went to a thrift store, they found something that they didn't think was worth much value to later find out this thing is worth a huge amount of money. And in the same way, when we're looking for real estate deals, we're looking for those diamonds in the rough that are going to be worth a lot of money or currently are undervalued properties that we're going to add value to. One thing to keep in mind here is we're not looking to get retail properties. So what do I mean by a retail property? So some of the sites that you may be looking online, which are some of the resources you can utilize, but are going to mainly show retail properties, are properties such as LoopNet, where you can go on there and find commercial properties nationwide for sale, pretty much through brokers. Now, these brokers want to get maximum value for their sellers, so they're going to have that price be retail priced at the top of the market. Now, if you actually want to get a property that's under market value, you're gonna have to do a little more work and a little more digging to find that, but it's completely worth it. All right, so let's take a look at the top 4 ways to find your next deal. Number 1 is brokers. So make some connections with some local and national brokers and tell them what you're looking for. One thing with brokers is you have to be specific to what you're looking to buy, which we call the buy box. So you want to let them know what type of asset you're looking for, you want to let them know what price range you're in, and you want to let them know how big that deal is that you're looking for. With brokers, you want to be as specific as possible to your buy box or your criteria so that when they find that criteria, they're going to send it to you directly. Also, with brokers, if you're able to show proof of funds, proof of experience, or anything that'll make them confident that you're able to close on the deal if they present it to you, that's going to be huge for brokers. All right, so the second method to finding your next deal is through networking with others. So this requires you to join a community, go to events, be around like-minded individuals, and a lot of times you're going to either find people that have a deal that they want to sell and they're looking for a buyer, or they may have a deal that they have found and they're looking for partners for you to hop into partnering with them on that particular deal. And again, this is one of the reasons why we've created the Bigger Profits community so that we can start getting people engaged, plugged in, and connected up to start doing deals together and to start learning from each other. The third method is through online platforms. Platforms like LoopNet, Crexy are a couple of great services you can go online and search commercial real estate throughout the US. Again, you're going to want to learn how to filter out properties that you're not going to want through these platforms and some tips and tricks on that maybe we'll do in a later show. And you also want to recognize that a lot of these properties are going to be retail deals. So you're going to want to find deals that have longer days on market where the seller might be a little bit more distressed to sell and offer you a better deal. And you're going to want to look at different terms that they're offering online. Maybe the seller's offering seller financing or another good structure or any other incentives for you to come in and make an offer. Also, another place that you can search that a lot of people discard is Google. If you go to Google Maps, for example, and you search in self-storage near me, you can find all the self-storages right in your area, click on satellite view, and be able to just kind of see what the area looks like, what the facility looks like. You can see if they have good advertising, if they have a website. A lot of these properties are either maybe neglected or mismanaged, and they don't always have a website or they have bad marketing. And that'll tell you that this is a good property worth pursuing the owner to see if they want to sell. You want to avoid the larger REIT sizes self-storage facilities in this example, because those are going to be fully stabilized properties that have good management, that have good websites, and that have everything in place. So So these aren't going to be the underperforming and undervalued properties that we're specifically searching for bigger profits. And the fourth and best way to find your next diamond in the rough commercial real estate deal is through seller direct. So the best way is to talk to the owner direct of the property and see if they want to sell. Now you want to establish a relationship with them because real estate is a relationship game, and in order for somebody to want to sell to you, they're going to have some rapport with you. Now you may be wondering, how do I get that person's information? So let's say I drive by a self-storage facility or an apartment complex that looks like something that I might want to buy. Well, you can utilize, again, some different paid platforms, like Crexy, for example, is one of them that I utilize, but there's a lot of other ones that will do what's called skip tracing, which means it'll find the owner's data for you and provide that for you to contact and reach out to the owner. So there's public records that have this information, but I would suggest just don't waste time. Hop on a paid platform that gives you all the public information in one place so you can go through these really quickly. So what are a few things that make these properties a good value add facility, or a good facility that's underperforming that I can go in there, manage properly, and increase revenues? So I think one of the biggest ones on the table that you'll hear out there is if you go to a property and they don't have market rent rates. So let's say it's an older owner and they've never increased rent rates for the last 5 to 10 years. Well, if you find a facility like that and that's the main thing that it needs, that's a pretty easy one to force the appreciation up, which means I'm going to go in there, I'm going to raise rents, which is going to probably get rid of some of the old tenants, and then you're going to bring in some new tenants at the higher rate, which means it's going to force the appreciation of the property so that's worth much more. So I know this is one of the tricks used by Grant Cardone. He buys larger multifamily assets and properties, and one of the main things he looks for is, are the rents under market or not? If they're under market, that's a pretty easy fix to get them at market rate and to increase the value of the property. So another characteristic to look for on an underperforming property is occupancy rate. So what percentage of that property is occupied and what percentage of that property is vacant? So let's say we take a property that has 100% occupancy rate. What that means is that 100% of the units are leased up and cash flowing. If it's 70% occupancy rate, that means 70% is occupied, 30% is vacant, and which means there's a reason why there's that vacancy, which we have to find out. What if it's 50% occupied and 50% vacant? Then we know there's a bigger problem, an underlying story to that facility as to why it's not fully leased up. Maybe there's an oversupplied market. Maybe their rents are too high. Maybe it's just mismanaged, or it doesn't have a good look and feel to the experience of the facility. So these are all factors that you're going to want to look at when you're out there searching for these properties. Now, another thing is looking at what they call economic occupancy. So for example, let's say you find a facility that's 85% occupied, and we see that it has 60% economic occupancy. So if we take the spread of that 85% to 60%, what that means is there's 25% of those people that are occupying that are not paying or continue to be late on rents and dues that needs to get resolved. So this just means there's a bad collection process in place for management, and they're not dealing with tenants that are there but not paying. What I love though is with self-storage, they're month-to-month leases. So in those scenarios, you put a lock on there, you lock the tenant out until they pay you, or they go to self-storage auctions. For multifamily properties, it's a little harder to evict tenants right away, which means you're gonna have to go through a little bit of a battle in order to get them out, to get new tenants in, leasing and paying. Another characteristic is curb appeal. So maybe their curb appeal is bad, poorly designed. Maybe they have a horrible paint job in the whole facility. There's things falling apart. There's no pavement. Maybe it's just gravel without it being paved. So there's different things of that nature that you can go in and fix the curb appeal that'll be a lot more attractive to higher paying and higher quality tenants. Again, whether that's multifamily or self-storage. A lot of the principles I'm sharing with you can go towards all of these different asset classes. So as long as you have an underlying base foundation of all this information, you're going to be able to filter out what goes with multifamily, what goes with self-storage, and so on. What's really important to understand is that you need to start taking action and just get out there and start talking to brokers and to owners and creating deal flow to see who is willing to sell their property. Also, a lot of this takes time. So you may meet somebody now, but they might not want to sell in 6 months for whatever circumstances, and they're going to remember you 6 months down the road, and you're going to be the first one that they're going to contact when they're thinking of selling. So again, with creating those relationships, it's extremely important to do and to follow up with them, because it might be 2 years before that one person comes back to you to sell, but it might be an amazing home run deal that you're getting. And all this are just little seeds that you're planting with all these different relationships to see your portfolio grow. Some of the things you're going to want to determine are, what markets do you want to be in? So choose a particular market that you want to be in, a place where there's population growth, where there's job growth, and where that's not going downhill. You also want to make sure you want to be in states that are landlord friendly. So a lot of states that are not landlord friendly are not good places to invest in, because if all your tenants just stop paying and you have to try to evict all of them, those states are typically not landlord friendly, and you're going to be going through a lot more of a battle to trying to get those non-paying tenants out of the property to replace them with paying tenants. So I think that's something that's also very important to consider. So let's take action today. Go ahead and join the Bigger Profits community. Click to subscribe, follow us. We'd love to engage with you, ask more questions, and we'll continue to dive through commercial real estate and future shows. Thank you.